latest NASCAR news. If you thought nothing crazy was going to happen in the world of NASCAR today, it's because you clearly haven't seen what's happened in the last 48 hours. Kyle Busch just made a confession on a live podcast that's got the whole team talking right now. Kurt Busch fired back at someone who disrespected all the drivers on the grid, and his response was brutal. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. just issued a warning about the future of NASCAR that no one saw coming. What's happening in NASCAR is unmissable. Subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Let's start with Kyle Busch, because what he admitted changes everything. So Kyle Busch went on the Hangout with Sean Hannity podcast. Yeah, that's Sean Hannity. And what started as a pretty standard conversation about aggressive racing tactics turned into one of the most honest confessions you'll ever hear from an active Cup Series driver. Hannity asked about intentional wrecking, and Kyle, being Kyle, started with the right answer. Like intentionally wrecking somebody, that needs to be a no-no. You can't do that. Classic, safe, professional, exactly what you'd expect. And then, almost immediately, he caught himself, paused, and flipped the whole thing. Oh no, I can't say that. I've never done that. I have done that. Just like that. On a live podcast. No filter, no PR team stopping him, nothing. Just Kyle Busch telling the truth because apparently that's where we are now. But he didn't stop there. He went into full detail about something that happened just last weekend. According to Kyle, a driver behind him made contact and spun him out mid-race. Now, a lot of drivers would grumble about it, move on, maybe mention it in the post-race interview. Not Kyle. He waited. 200 laps. 200 laps of knowing exactly what he was going to do. I don't know, 200 laps later, I got back to him and I'm like, "See you, buddy?" Hannity pushed a little further. Did the other driver even see it coming? Kyle didn't hesitate. Oh, he knew it was coming. Oh, yeah. And when asked if the driver tried to avoid the hit, yeah, he tried to get out of the way twice. This wasn't a hot-headed move. This was calculated, planned. Kyle Busch essentially described a 200-lap countdown to revenge and talked about it like it was the most normal thing in the world. And honestly, for him, it probably is. Now, NASCAR does have rules against intentional wrecking. The series has handed out fines, docked points, and suspended drivers for exactly this kind of thing. So the fact that Kyle just casually admitted to it on a podcast, with specifics, is going to raise some eyebrows in the NASCAR offices, no question. He also touched on past beef during the appearance. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, names that have come up before when people talk about Kyle and his history on track. The man has never been shy about playing the villain, and honestly, the fan base has always had a complicated relationship with that side of him. What makes this moment different is the context. Kyle Busch hasn't won a Cup Series race in nearly 3 years. The swagger is still there. The personality is still there. But the results haven't matched up lately. So when he's making headlines like this, it's not because of a win. It's because of a podcast confession that reminded everyone exactly who Kyle Busch is and has always been. Someone who does not forget, does not forgive, and will wait 200 laps to prove it. And if you thought Kyle's confession was wild, the next story is on a completely different level. Because while Kyle was making headlines on a podcast, his brother Kurt was busy firing back at someone who just took a shot at every NASCAR driver alive. And the response? Cold. Stephen A. Smith went on SiriusXM and said something that lit the entire NASCAR world on fire. His take? NASCAR drivers are not athletes. That's it. That was the argument. Come on, man, that don't count. You driving a car, getting behind the wheel of a car is not the same. And then he went further. You can be behind the wheel of a car in your 60s and 70s for crying out loud. A golfer is not an athlete. A NASCAR driver is not an athlete. Now, Stephen A. has built an entire career on takes that make people lose their minds. That's the brand. But this one landed differently inside the NASCAR community, because it wasn't just debate show noise. It felt like a genuine dismissal of everything these drivers put their bodies through every single weekend. And Kurt Busch was not going to let it slide. The former Cup Series champion, a guy who spent decades putting his life on the line at 200 miles per hour, fired back on social media with a message that was short, sharp, and left zero room for interpretation. Let's go, Cupcake. I will personally drive you around a NASCAR track for 30 minutes or when you pass out on lap 30. That's it. No essay, no list of statistics, just a direct invitation, and a very specific prediction about how it ends. And Kurt wasn't alone. Front Row Motorsports jumped in with their own response, and they weren't exactly diplomatic about it either. Stephen A., what's going on, my man? We heard that absolutely preposterous take of yours claiming NASCAR drivers aren't athletes, and quite frankly, we were stunned. They also issued a formal ride-along invitation, telling Smith to come down to the track and feel what it's actually like to go 180 miles per hour, pulling G-forces, fighting the steering wheel for 3 straight hours, and then tell the world it's not athletic. Here's the thing, this debate isn't new. People have been questioning NASCAR's athletic credibility for years, but what a lot of people don't realize is what these drivers actually deal with physically. Cockpit temperatures that climb past 100 degrees, sustained G-forces through every corner, races that push the 3-hour mark, the mental focus required to stay sharp at those speeds, lap after lap, with walls just inches away. That's not a Sunday drive. That's an endurance test that would break most people before halftime. Kurt's response wasn't angry, it was confident, because he knows anyone who actually gets in that car stops asking the question. Now we shift gears, and this last story might actually be the biggest one of the 3. Because while the Busch brothers were handling their business, Dale Earnhardt Jr. stepped up with a warning about NASCAR's future. And when Jr. talks, people listen. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is not happy, and he made sure everyone knows it. On the latest episode of Dale Jr. Download, the 15-time most popular driver addressed a proposal that's been quietly circulating inside NASCAR's offices. John Probst, NASCAR's executive vice president, floated the idea of the O'Reilly Auto Parts series, formerly the Xfinity series, making a move toward a Covey-style body powered by electric vehicles. And Jr. came out swinging against it. His position was clear from the jump. The Nopes is in a good place right now. Viewership numbers are climbing. The relationship with the CW as the series' TV home is working. Fan engagement is strong. The current car is something fans can actually connect with. It looks like something you'd see on the road, and that matters. I think making a switch to anything unlike what we have would be a massive mistake. And then he turned it up another notch. I think any kind of change like that, dramatic as that would be, would destroy the series as we know it. I would not be interested in that, and I don't think JR Motorsports would be interested in that. That last part is important. Jr. isn't just a former driver giving opinions from the couch. He owns JR Motorsports, which competes directly in the Nopes. So when he says his organization wouldn't be interested, that's not commentary, that's a business statement. Now, to be fair to NASCAR, Probst wasn't announcing a done deal. His exact words were that the Cov electric body is on the roadmap to consider, not a confirmed direction. The idea, as he framed it, would give each NASCAR series a distinct identity: a truck, a Cov, and a Cup car. 3 different bodies relevant to manufacturers today. But the timing is sensitive. The Nopes just rebranded ahead of 2026 with O'Reilly Auto Parts as title sponsor. The CW takeover as exclusive broadcaster only kicked in last season. The series is in the middle of a rebuilding moment, and Jr.'s warning is essentially, don't blow it. 3 stories, 1 clear message: NASCAR is never boring. Kyle Busch reminding everyone he plays by his own rules. Kurt shutting down Stephen A. with zero hesitation, and Jr. protecting the sport he loves. So here's the question: is NASCAR heading in the right direction, or are the best voices being ignored? Subscribe and let's keep this conversation going.